Welcome to the gays, everybody. Let's have a look. For this episode will be the first installment of our new series called Filminism. In this series, we will be looking at movies and have a very original feminist view to it, and just have a dissection, really, and like talk shit about it.
Yeah, think of it as like a medium dive. You don't get a shallow dive, but you're also not on the deep end.
For everybody who's just tuning in to us, my name is Tree. I go by they, them.
And my name is Migs. I go by he, him.
So for this episode, we will be looking at the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
The rare reason the Barbie movie blockbuster hit.
Yeah.
That
The live action.
live action, not the
No.
not the animated one.
All right. So for today, yes, we'll talk about the Barbie movie. We'll talk We'll do a quick overview of the plot. We'll also go over, sort of an intro to feminism. We'll talk also as well about pop feminism and what that entails. As well, we'll talk about the movie's messages, or if there were any subtextual kind of things that
Yes.
may have gone over people's heads the
Yep.
first or second time that you've watched it. And finally, we take a look at why it was one of the biggest award season snubs. Let's dive into it.
Okay.
All right, so the Barbie movie. This is off of imdb.com. So, quote, Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colorful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when they get a chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living among humans, end quote. To talk a little bit more about the actual synopsis, and, spoiler alert, the film opens with,
Just Barbie being
just
Barbie in
being
general.
Barbie. Yeah, we're in Barbie land. Everything's perfect.
Mhm.
She floats down from her house because she can't be bothered to take the stairs or the slide.
Well, no, that's how.
That's how girls play with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, everything's perfect in Barbie land. We meet Ken. We meet Barbie and
We meet-
Barbie and
and-
Barbie.
And Ken.
Also Barbie and Ken
And Ken.
and Barbie
And Alan.
and Alan. Who's Alan? No.
And Alan.
Yeah, and then we get to see sort of
The dynamics.
the dynamics between the main Barbie and Ken really.
All of a sudden, Barbie got flat feet.
Yeah, and all of a sudden she started exhibiting other symptoms.
Cellulite. Oh
Yeah,
no.
cellulite. Oh no.
Flat feet.
Flat feet.
Bad breath in the morning.
Bad breath.
AKA human
Burning
symptoms.
her waffles in the morning. That sounded wrong.
Human symptoms
Yeah.
started showing, and that
Mhm.
was a big quote unquote malfunction for Barbies.
Yeah.
So she needs to go and get it fixed. Entail, for it to get mixed, she was told that she needed to go to the real world, quote unquote, the real world, because the girl who is playing with her is going through a tough time, I guess.
She's going through something.
Yeah, like she's projecting essentially her feelings onto the Barbie. So she had such strong feelings that it got projected to the Barbie.
Yeah.
So she has to go do the hoopla and the dance to go to the real world with Ken, begrudgingly. And then that's where she experienced the real world, catcalling.
Yeah, there was a very rude awakening. The very first scene she gets into, honestly, California. But yeah, it's the dialogue in it is like so simple yet so brilliant.
It was so good.
It was so good. And
Yeah.
some of y'all may be saying, "Oh, it's too on the nose." That's the point. That is the point, baby
That is
girl.
the point.
This isn't rated R for adults only. This is for children to understand.
Yeah, and some of you guys apparently don't have the comprehension for anything subtler other than like being thrown at your face. But like, don't see me complaining.
Yeah. So yeah, through a series of events, Ken having his own adventure with the patriarchy,
Discovering the patriarchy.
discovering the patriarchy, and then Barbie. She goes back to Barbie Land, expecting things to just return to the way they were.
Well, no,
perfect as
she
it
went
was.
to she went back to the Barbie land with the mom and daughter.
Yeah, the girl who was playing with her.
Yeah, so she found the source of like her humanness and thought that them going back to Barbie land was gonna fix it. Lo and behold, the
The Kens have taken over.
the
and
Kens have
instilled
taken over
patriarchy.
and the
And brought a slice of the real world with them.
yeah, slice of the real world with them. Barbie has a meltdown.
Ken has horses.
a
Very obsessed with horses in this movie.
And then we had some homoerotic scenes. We had Ken Enough. We had the Grease homage.
The whole dance sequence.
Yeah, and then there was the deprogramming of Barbies.
Mhm.
If we didn't say that, the Barbies got brainwashed and then deprogrammed with America's iconic monologue. By this time, I feel like it's made its rounds
Probably.
literally everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It has. It should have.
Yeah. So we had that, and then
And
a
then
resolution.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. Like most things then get restored. Not restored. They become uncandamized. Again, that sounds so wrong.
Okay. How about this? Things were back where it was with minor changes. Yes.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah. Let's just say that, and then the Billie Eilish scene,
Yeah.
and then
Barbie feels human.
and Barbie is human.
Barbie now is human.
Yeah, stereotypical Barbie is human,
Hooray.
and there's that. So that's the very generalized,
Very quick synopsis.
very quick synopsis of what the Barbie movie is. Again, it's a very, at least in my opinion, it's a very good watch. I never get tired of watching it. This is my fourth time watching Barbie, and I'm still very much like hooked.
Yeah, it's
It-
very like if you can spot like the fun little things
Mhm.
that they put in there. If like for me as somebody who enjoys that kind of those kind of like Easter eggs,
Mhm.
they're fun. I like them.
And for me personally, it's just a good story for me to like experience over and over again. I'm a creature of habit. Leave me alone. It's gotten to the point like I won't say it's a comfort movie because it's still like it still mirrors what the fuck is happening in real life. But there's just a good reminder of like it's okay to be human sometimes.
like your their hyperfixation in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I was gonna make that like distinction one way or another.
Yeah, it's very much giving that.
Okay, and yeah, and like for me, and like you say, it's a comfort or no, it's not a comfort movie, but it is like
A reminder movie for me.
a reminder movie. Yeah, that's good. And like for me too, it's like what are some ways? Because like as an educator, I'm always thinking about like how am I gonna get into a certain topic.
Mhm.
It's an accessible tool for because like it's a relevant movie. It's like it's rated for
E for everybody.
well, yeah, mainly, yeah. And yeah, I just saw Barbie as sort of a tool to explore feminism
Mhm.
because apparently some of y'all don't remember what feminism actually fucking means.
Ooh, Lord.
Which honestly is one of the main catalysts, one of the main reasons why we wanted to start this
The
like,
series.
The series.
Yeah, because there's a lot of movies out there that are not getting. Well, at least what I'm seeing in the popular media is getting misinterpreted or like they're taking away the wrong message.
Right.
And this has a lot. And this one, we felt like this was gonna be the perfect movie to
To start with.
So
Because it's relevant, it's iconic, it's
very like,
controversial,
accessible for everybody.
accessible for
Yeah.
a lot of people, and like again, it ties into that whole. It's basically a feminism 101 class
It's
in
a-
movie format.
It's a really good jump off or start point.
Yeah.
Like a springboard into actually what feminism is. Like, I won't say it's an intro to feminism. I took that in. For those who don't know, I did a double major. That's one of them.
For those of us who didn't or won't take a double major, this would be feminism 101.
Like, honestly, if I was an educator and I was like teaching something related to that, I would use this movie. It's a really good like, it breaks it down very cleanly
Yeah.
and in a clear way too, so
Almost,
that
it's pretty on the nose. Like let's say
It's-
they literally spell it out for you. Like
It's
what more
foolproof.
can you want?
it's so foolproof that everybody getting mad is just like, where's your reading comprehension? gone?"
Or like your brainwashing is showing.
Yeah. Okay. How about we start off with what is feminism? Jesus.
Oh, God.
Okay. So arguably the very first feminist movement was the suffragettes, women's wanting to vote, right? So with that, you can kind of see what feminism is at its core: is women wanting to be seen and have equal rights as men do. Because let's be fucking honest, we don't. It's a movement of women just wanting to be treated as equal.
Yeah, and like to add on to the definition that it's a movement, it's also, you know, whether or not you're AFAB, you're AMAB, you're somewhere in between on the spectrum. It's the belief that, like, women, AFAB people,
Everybody needs.
queer people, like there's so many intersections to this, but the belief that like those people should deserve, fair and equitable treatment that in a patriarchal society obviously favors men.
Okay, so that's what feminism is. So when the Barbie movie came out, everybody was like giving it applause, not just because it's great cinematography. You can fight me on that.
Beautiful cinematography. Are you kidding?
Beautiful, like all of the match cuts,
Mhm.
the dance scene, bitch, slay.
The set? Hello?
The costume, the hair. I'm
Anyway.
getting ahead of myself.
We'll get to there later.
I'll get there.
We'll get there.
So a lot of people giving it praise more than that is like it being such a has such a feminist like undertone to it. Not even an undertone. It's like slapped all over it.
It's painted pink.
It's highlighted. It's neon pink. So a lot of people were giving it like an okay that like, oh, this is really good that they're speaking about feminism. Some people were giving it backlash because that like it's such a like it's not
traditionally beautiful cinema.
not in that sense, but more in the sense that like people were giving it praise for being such a feminist movie, right? That like, why are you praising this when it's just giving you feminism 101? That was the issue, at least from what I was seeing like on the internet.
And sorry to cut you off, Ken. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. And if you do have a pessimistic view of life, which a lot of y'all bitches do, it would be easy to make that statement that like, oh, it's just feminism. Why are we celebrating? It's just feminism 101. Why are we celebrating it? Oh, it's the bare minimum. Because we don't have the bare minimum.
Not everything.
We don't have the bare minimum.
Not everything needs to be like this grand exploratory of like what feminism is and like all of its intricate ins and outs and where does intersectionality has to come in and like all of these things and like all of the subsets of like feminism is. That's what school is for. Like go to your gender studies class. Get one fucking class, please. I beg. As somebody who tried to get majored. Listen, I did well. Okay, so what pop feminism is? There's not a real academic definition of what pop feminism is. It just means like popular feminism, right? But a lot of people connect it to the third wave of feminism. For those who don't know, we're currently in the fourth wave of feminism. First one is suffragettes, and then there's the second one in the...
Was that like the 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that was called the modern feminists. The modern era.
I don't remember. I haven't been in school for a while. Well, I am in school, but not for this one. And then the third one, which is early 90s going to early 2000s, and now we're currently in the fourth wave. At least in my opinion, this is my opinion, because there is no academic definition of what pop feminism is. I believe that pop feminism is a product of the third wave feminist movement, which focused on girl power, which is like the late 90s, early 2000s, and then got co-opted with the fourth wave of feminism, which is focusing on empowerment of women and apparently intersectionality, but that doesn't sound like it. Huh.
In theory, not in practice.
Yeah, in theory, but never in practice. I'm sick and tired of you bitches. So I believe that this pop feminism, that's what we're calling it at least, is just third wave feminism with like marketability
Yep.
to it. So like the girl boss era. That's what it is. And I believe this kind of
came about.
Yeah, okay. So I believe not came about because like I think feminism really got thrown into mainstream media because of Beyonce's 2014 VMAs performance. For those who don't know, Beyonce performed at the VMAs with her self-titled album Beyonce, and that particular album revolved around feminism very much so, where in Flawless she actually had, I forgot what her name is and I can't really pronounce it. She was There's a iconic snippet of it of her defining what feminism is. It was really good. If you guys, I can't put it here anywhere because copyright. It's Beyonce. She gonna get me. So like that's where it all stemmed from. So she was performing in the VMAs in 2014, and behind her it was like such an iconic screen grab or screen cap or photo, whatever you want to call it, is her just standing like in a superwoman pose, not superwoman pose, but like in a very
Like a strong girl boss pose.
yes, and then just the word feminism behind her, and it was like very iconic, blew up everywhere, and a lot of academics such as Anne Nuaso, I forgot. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. I'm so sorry. She actually does cite that like this type of feminism, this is where it came from, or like at least the catalyst of it, because the like girl movement feminism has always been around, just because of, again, we're in a patriarchal society, so it's always gonna be around everywhere.
Yeah. And just to clarify, by this you mean like the whole after effect of Beyonce's
The girl,
feminism
yeah, and then
is like it's the girl boss era.
eventually, after like what around 2016 is when girl boss gatekeep no
Gaslight gatekeep girl boss.
well, that's what, like around 2016, that's when it blew up.
Yeah.
Right, like yeah, it was a slow startup, but like again, it was the catalyst of like what became the girl boss era. And I believe that the girl boss era made pop feminism more accessible to everybody as a marketing strategy, not as an actual true movement. Okay.
So like a performative version of it.
Yeah, a performative version of it. Like that's the best way for you to describe what pop feminism is, because a lot of it is rooted in white women feminism. So I guess we're gonna go into that.
And just to clarify, and we mean white feminism not as such only practiced by white women, but
Majority.
majority, yeah, but like, anyone can practice it.
Anyone can practice it, but it's mostly being seen practiced by white women. And what they do is they just there's a lack of intersectionality. This is the problem with talking about feminism, because now I have to talk about what intersectionality is. So, without
Unnecessary thing.
what diving too deeply into all of the interwebs of how this system works, is white feminism is a reflection of how majority of the time how white women uses feminism. Look at Taylor Swift. So they use their, like, for one, they use their minority card to get protected by criticism. That's for one. And then another one is they focus on their own struggles and not engaging in women of color specifically, struggles that are specific for them.
Yes, because as a Taylor Swift figure or as a white feminist figure, you don't know the struggles of women of color,
Yeah.
queer women of color, queer AFAB people of color, like, and then just shying away from it altogether because I don't have that experience.
Yeah. And like not even just shying away from it, just overall disregarding it is majority of the time what they're doing is
Yeah.
they disregard these types of oppression or these types of experiences because they've never experienced it on their own. It's like, oh, it doesn't happen to me, so that means it's not real. That's what white feminism is. It's watered down feminism to your own experience.
Yeah, it's feminism that's like you put in a vacuum seal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what white feminism is. And you can argue that the Barbie movie is that. I see it more as an intro to feminism than like an actual white feminist movie.
Yeah,
right?
it would be white feminism if it was the be all end all. The end. This is feminism,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but it doesn't because it looked at the mom.
It looked at aging.
Yeah,
It looked at it had like variety of representation, like
yeah,
deliberate representation of trans women, disabled
old women,
women, fat women, women of color,
and
and
like
then like a bunch of like you just like a mixture.
myriad of like
Yeah,
characters and like these people who aren't Margaret Robbie. We're holding, at least in that world, we're holding roles of power. Like the trans Barbie was a doctor. We had a black woman president. We have, I'm not sure, but she was a lawyer.
she was a lawyer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the fat Barbie was a lawyer, and then we also have Midge, but like, you know,
pregnant women.
yeah, pregnant women are in there as well. But there's a myriad of representation there that like you don't really see. And again, I feel like the focus of the movie doesn't really need to go into um
They don't need to go in depth, I think, with what you're saying. It would like any of the
yeah.
characters. We don't have to focus on the fact that the female president or the president Barbie is black, or that like they have a Barbie in a wheelchair. No,
Yeah.
it's just that this is a Barbie that like has these attributes and a bunch more other things. Like when we're talking about President Barbie, she's black. She's like
Very
she's
outspoken.
very outspoken. She has like was it natural hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like
As far as I can see, at least I think it's natural hair, but I don't know. There's a curl pattern to it.
yeah. There's like a natural style to it that like she's so much more than just a president, a woman president.
She said motherfucker. Good for her.
Yeah, she got the one fuck.
She got the one.
She got the one fuck for the PG-13 rating.
She got that one down. She's like, good for you, girl. But the entire story arc of Barbie doesn't necessarily involve feminism at all, because, again, you guys' like comprehension like baffles me. Just like over the head. Like, yes, there is tones of feminism in there. Yes, they do tackle the fact that like Ken practically brought fucking patriarchy into Barbie Land and ruined the Barbie Land for the Barbies and just made it for themselves instead of carving their own space out. Men.
Sound familiar?
But the overall story of Barbie is like finding yourself and being okay with just being you.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the entire point of Barbie. And that doesn't need a feminist view on it. Hell, fucking Toy Story has the same story beat as Barbie.
Yeah, this is effectively the spin-off movie about Barbie.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if you want to still talk about how it isn't feminist or like it's a watered down version of feminism, it literally gave you a look at how Barbie became villainized. The image of Barbie got sucked up into like the capitalist machine to become more profitable, to become more sellable, to become
more
more
really.
sexual and stuff like that, right?
You remember the thing that circulated around where it's like the eras of Barbie, like in terms of like just the facial makeup and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
She was very cunty.
She was very cunty in like 2010s.
The
Like we'll post it up here if there's no copyright.
and not even in 2010s. Her very first model, she had like
Served.
she had ice blue eyeshadow with a cat eye in a bathing suit and ponytail. Cunt!
Iconic.
Cunt! And you're telling, shut up. Just shut up. Only men would take that and like sexualize it.
Yeah.
She was serving such looks, and you guys are just like titties.
Okay, so that's sort of like the overview that we have of feminism and
And what-
particular pop feminism.
Yeah.
So let's talk now about some points, some major points in the film that we can kind of see that and like we can discuss.
Yeah, so we have two scenes, or we have multiple scenes, but we have two major
Points. Really,
yeah,
in the film.
like in the film that we will dive into and like speak more about. So one of them is America's iconic monologue, such a beautiful speech.
Very. Yeah.
Like moves me every single time I watch it. Again, fourth time watching it, still moved me. And will also, at least for both of us, for Barbie and Ken's not feeling good enough because it's a very interesting conjunction for both.
Yeah. Okay, so first we can talk about America's monologue.
Yeah.
So like if you haven't seen it, I would urge you to watch it.
Yeah, even just on YouTube, it's like
It's gonna be somewhere. It's
it,
not that long,
like
and
3 minutes max.
yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. And it comes in the point in the movie where they're kind of holed up in weird Barbie's
House.
house, and stereotypical Barbie, like Margot Robbie's character, is kind of
Down in the dumps.
down in the dumps, having
Feeling
an
very
existential
defeated,
crisis.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. She's very defeated. Um, she doesn't feel, and like we're alluding to this in like the second point,
Mhm.
really, that she doesn't feel like
She's enough.
she's enough to stop the Kendom train
In
from
like
chugging along.
ruining everything. Her friends got brainwashed. She
Mhm.
has no house.
She still has flat feet.
Yeah, she still has flat feet.
She's not like stereotypically pretty.
Oh
quote
yeah,
unquote.
that was like that's how she opened her line for that one. I'm not pretty anymore. It was like
Side note from the narrator was so funny.
I love
I
that.
love that. I love Helen Mirren so much.
Yeah. But going back to Americas, it's a very I'm trying to look for the proper word for it.
It's a good summary.
Not
Real-
summary.
No? It kind of what is it? Does it imperfectly kind of encapsulates the experience of
Obviously, because she goes down like literally point by point on like how women are being perceived and how, or like AFAB needs what are the standards that needs to be um, met, and literally you physically, mentally, emotionally cannot, and she's just saying it so, I guess, unapologetically and very forward in a sense that like if in any other context, if a person says that, or like if a woman says that, for example in a workplace or like even in a relationship, whether that will be in your family or in your friends, that would be seen as like you're taking it over the top already. It's a very emotionally charged scene, but the way that she delivered it with such precision and such composure, because one, she's a great actress, and two, it's, I feel like, at least for me, the way that I interpreted it, just interpreted how tired women are in general, and at that moment she was representing majority of women's experiences, right?
Yeah.
So it just, for me, the way that she portrayed it again in such a precise and exhausted way of doing it just really hits it. It just really takes it home and like again perfectly encapsulates what a woman's experiences inside patriarchal society.
Yeah, and the standards that they have to meet, that not even Barbie, the
A
the
literal-
stereotypical perfect doll
Like
can
literally the idealized version of what a woman is still cannot.
Barbie still feels as if she cannot meet that.
She can't meet
No.
that, and that just says something in my experience of growing up AFAB, is like this type of message is always like thrown out into the open, but not in a way that Barbie did it for this scene. Again, I feel like it's really America's delivery in the monologue. It's the way that she expressed it is such a mundanity to it that the tired, like you gloss over the fact of like this is her day-to-day life. When I say mundanity, it's as if it's as easy as her breathing in and out.
Intuitive.
Yeah.
It's ingrained so
Like-
much that the reaction's sort of intuitive.
Yeah, and like I like how like it's kind of interesting that you said that to the breaking point, because all of women experience it, and not, you don't see a lot of women doing like just breaking down and laying flat down and into the floor, right?
No.
Because if that's what you have to live with in a day-to-day basis, it becomes mundane. It becomes as easy as breathing.
You've become desensitized to it.
Yeah, in a sense, it's very like desensitized, and like I can't explain it anything else other than mundane. It became like that extreme becomes a mundane thing to a
Yeah.
person who has to live it with it ever since you were a little baby all the way to your deathbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's what I really appreciate with America's delivery with that monologue. Other than the fact that like she's stating the obvious, but people don't listen. And
Yeah.
again, it's like for me, it's like a, you know, when you keep saying the same thing over and over again, the person just doesn't speak and or doesn't like still not getting it or like
Pink.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or refuses to just blatantly listen. So you
Mhm.
just throw down your
You
hands.
give up.
You give up.
I give up. I would give up.
Yeah.
Like, why waste your breath, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like women, majority of the time, they don't have the luxury of just giving up. They just have to keep going. And for me, that's her character raising, like throwing her hands up in the air, but she can't just stand down. She still has to keep going for it. You can link that back to Barbie and Ken's role, like their overall like story arc in the movie. Barbie literally falls to the ground because she can't heal.
She can't process it.
She can't process it.
Yeah.
She's never had to experience it. Well, first and foremost, she's never had to experience it because she's the stereotypical of what society tells us.
The pretty Barbie. That
Yeah.
doesn't have to go through anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Ken too, because Ken didn't have to process a lot of emotions to Barbie other than complete adoration.
Because
for
that's
her.
what he was made for.
Yeah, and because that's that's what he was made for. And then at the end of it, it just boils down to Barbie wanting to be human because even though as shitty it is to be a woman in a patriarchal society, she still sees the beauty in it. Like we saw it, like with the montage. By the way, those montages
That
were
was beautiful.
those were real.
Those were actual footage of like, and some people, I think the report was that some people hadn't seen the people in that video
one of them
for
died.
a long
No,
time.
the
Yeah.
girl, the bowling, the one who
Oh
was
yeah,
bowling.
yeah, yeah.
So an interviewer was talking to Gerda, and he actually said that, like, you know, in the montage, the girl who was bowling, that's one of my friends. She passed away, so for me to see her in front, in like,
Immortalized.
yeah, basically immortalized. It was something so special to her. So like it just. That's why to me you can't just tell me this is just a movie for kids or like yeah it is but like you can't tell me that like it's not an important movie or like it's only talking about feminism 101. It doesn't it can just be that.
No.
Like things can just be
And that's the thing is
basic.
that like yeah, okay, it can be basic, but also like that's kind of what we've done to Barbie as an
Yeah.
idea is that we've vilified and like, boiled it down or like watered it down really
Mhm.
to as a point that like a certain unnamed comedian when hosting an unnamed award
Award
show
show.
recently like basically like mistakenly boiled the movie down to
Titties.
yeah, a movie about a plastic doll with big titties, which is how many people have viewed her for decades
Years.
now.
So, like ever since her, I would argue ever since her conception, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure because at least in the movie, so in the movie, Barbara Handler, or no, sorry, Ruth Handler, she is the creator of Barbie. She was the one who made Barbie, made a cameo. Of course she did, and she did specify that. Like I don't know if this is true to real life, but I really like that idea that that's what Barbie is. She was supposed to be an idea for women to look up to and tell themselves, you can do whatever the hell you want to be. You can be
Mhm.
whatever you want to be because she grew up she grew up in a patriarchal society where you're constantly being told you can't do this, you can't do
Mhm.
that, or if you want to do X, Y, Z, you need to have ABC first.
Yeah, and that's like one of the that's the big tagline for Barbie too, right? Is that like you can be anything you want to be, right?
Yeah.
Especially with as a message for girls again, like that's admirable. And again, it's just a shame that like
She got
because
sucked up in the in
the
the
capitalist sexualized like
machine
machine of
money.
yeah, corporate greed in America. It's just such a shame that
Mhm.
Barbie from the very beginning has been put through that. And like again, we did it again with the fucking Barbie movie.
Yeah, we
We
did it.
commodified
It's
it.
it's history just repeating itself again. I get it. I get why people are mad at it. I get why people are mad at Barbie in general. But you can't be mad at an idea that was brought into society and got twisted.
And
You-
then got complicated too because it was a very simple premise. I
Yeah.
wanted to make like for Ruth Handler, it was like I wanted to make a doll that shows my daughter Barbara, you can be whatever the hell you want to be,
Yeah.
even as a woman,
Yeah.
right?
Because again, she knew how hard it was to be a woman. So she was like, when I'm no longer here, she's gonna need somebody to look up to. Even though, don't look up to her when she evades taxes. They will get your ass. CRN, IRS will get your ass. Please don't do that.
Tax evasion.
Don't do that. You can look up to her in other aspects of her life, probably
Just not financially.
yeah, just not that one. But yeah, she was probably thinking that when I'm no longer here, my daughter is gonna need somebody to look up to. And I told Mix this already, but I really like the line where she said, "Moms stay where they are so that their daughters can look back at them and see how far they've come." And I'm just like, I'm gonna cry. It just shows you, at its core, for me, Barbie is just a celebration of how women are resilient, and you don't see that too often.
No, and how women love as well. Like in making Barbie, Ruth Handler, that was an act of love from Ruth to her daughter.
It's a way of, like you said, like, what's the word, immortalization. Yeah.
Yep.
It's another way for not even just women to help find themselves. Like I said, like this goes back to Barbie and Ken's arc of like finding themselves, right?
Yeah.
Barbie being okay with her just being stereotypical Barbie and eventually becoming human, and Ken just being Ken and not Barbie and Ken,
Yeah.
and him being just himself. She's Kenneth, and like that's a realization that you have to take. And for you to take that, you need to be open to be viewing other aspects of your life. And I feel like that's where feminism comes in.
And yeah, that's well, that's a good segue actually, because our second sort of like big point or like big point of interest in the film is like and these are basically two scenes. The
Yeah, because he has his own and I have my own.
Yeah, we have the parallels between like Barbie feeling as if she's not good enough. The scene where she has the meltdown and she like literally lays down on the floor.
Literally face down on
Relatable.
the ground. Girl, I feel that.
Relatable. And then Ken's like meltdown like further on too,
Yeah.
after the Ken war.
So, how about you talk about the scene? Because
Okay.
at least for the two of us, you picked a different scene versus me. I picked a different scene of like Ken's growth. No.
His arc in
yeah.
in
The most
relation to
pivotal part of Ken's
Yeah.
arc.
Yeah, and like for me, again, that was again the meltdown scene where he, for some reason, went up to the second floor of the dream house. After like the Constitution was remained unchanged
Yeah.
from when it was Barbie Land, and to me, it felt as if that was Ken realizing that take away the mink, take away the Hummer, take away the horses.
I don't think he'll like that, but go ahead.
But strip that away from Ken, and what is he left with? He realizes to himself, "What do I have?" It's such a I think an overlooked moment because again, Ken's not the main character, right?
No, it's Barbie.
But he still has that arc. He still has that introduction of when they first were in the real world, and he's like, "Oh, I feel respected and seen here.
Mm-hmm.
That's different.
Yeah.
Well, whereas Barbie, we know what her experience was like.
Mm-hmm.
But like for the first time, Ken is
Admired.
acknowledged and admired even,
Mm-hmm.
and he sees that all around, like he's supposed to be
Like
admired,
he was receiving instead of actually giving and not or
not getting anything back. But then, like going back to like the breakdown scene at the end, it's like everything's been taken from him. He doesn't have Kendom. He doesn't have Barbie. Yeah, what is he left with? He's suddenly in a place where he has less than he did before, with Barbie friend zoning him constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he now is in a very vulnerable place where he has to find
Yeah.
something to like define himself, I guess,
Yeah.
and let him know that he's good enough. Because he had the whole song and dance about being enough,
Kenough.
sure, but that was with again the warped idea of patriarchy in his head and all the homoerotic Kens around him. um, and then yeah, just him having to find something for himself to solidify in him that he is actually enough,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that that's important for I mean, as much as the Barbie movie is like it's important for for little girls for sure to see.
Yeah.
It's also important to note that like little boys should be seeing this as well,
Yeah, because he was able to
with some help.
yeah, with very much
Lots
help.
of help.
Lots of help from Barbie and the other Kens. He was able to process his feelings, and at least for him very big feelings, because he's not used to feeling those type
No.
those type of feelings being thrown at his face. He's just used to like admiring Barbie
And beach.
and beach, and that's it. And that's for one, that was his role. That's literally what he was created for. Right?
Literally and Ken.
It's his name is literally Ken, so he's figuratively and literally linked to Barbie.
Yeah.
So when he gets admired, when he goes into the real world, sees patriarchy, sees that he can actually be admired, doesn't really know how to process it, but knows that it felt good. So he goes back to Barbie Land, takes the horses and
The horses in the bag.
and patriarchy with him, and gives it to the other Kens, because in his mind they're probably feeling the other way. When in reality, even at the end, one of the Kens was like, "I just want to have my friend Barbie back."
Yeah.
Right? So it's not a universal feeling what he's feeling.
No.
But I guess it's enough that a lot that he amassed all the other Kens to like join him into this coup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, that again is sort of the flip side of what the patriarchy does. Because like we know what it would do to women, right? It like sort of devalues them. What does it do to the men who aren't at the very top of the pyramid?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was getting at with like. That's what I wanted to explore with like talking about Ken's scene and like Ken's arc of realizing he is enough in his
Yeah.
own way.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I was trying to get at. That's
Yeah.
why. No.
Yeah. No, that's totally valid.
Yeah.
And the most defining scene for me for Ken and like his growth is it's the last scene, but it's the fact that Barbie still had to again help him through his emotions. And in one of the scenes just before he runs up to the terrace was he literally had to call on his other Ken brothers to physically hold him up, because he didn't know I'm assuming he was kind of having like his own little mental breakdown. And when they asked him, "Oh, who do you want to attack, Ken?" He had no answers, because he can't attack Barbie. It's not her fault. He can't attack them. He brought them into this.
Yeah.
Who is he
Who can
mad
he
at?
blame?
Yeah,
Who can he point the finger at? and be mad
who
at?
is he mad at? He's mad at himself. So that's the reason why he runs up into the terrace out of frustration, away from everybody. And Barbie being Barbie, because she feels some sort of responsibility over Ken. It's like, "Oh, I'll go up there and helped him through his emotions, with a little bit of sexual harassment." Like, going back to you wanting to explore Ken, it like yeah, oh yeah, definitely you can have explored Ken a little bit more as a character, but
Not necessarily as like a movie. I'm not saying that we should have
yeah,
a Ken movie.
yeah, no, but like in the general story, if you look at media, all of men's like story is always being presented to you. Look at the like fucking Last of Us, The Walking Dead, fucking Oppenheimer that came that came out the same time as Barbie looked at men's experience and like going through emotions and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't. It's just that
There's other ways, or there's other media that
there's other medias for
goes
you.
in depth into it.
Yeah, and like I'm not saying again, I'm not saying men shouldn't see this or little boys shouldn't see this. Yes, you should because then you guys would actually know what emotional processing looks like. But yeah, it's a film through and through for women. Period.
All right, so moving on from those like important points in the film.
At least for us, like
yeah,
the
at least for
most
us.
pivotal points of the film.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think we can talk now about like the sort of like the messages, both overt and kind of the hidden ones as well, that kind
Yeah.
of went over people's heads.
A lot of them.
A lot of them.
A lot of
Or
them.
quite a bit. There's quite a depth to this film that like
People tend to miss just because it's about a toy Barbie.
because it's camp.
But yeah, like so one of them is the most overt one I would say is you be you babes.
Yeah,
You're enough.
that's the biggest thing is that like you're Ken off. Being human is to grow and to change, and you have to be okay with growing and changing
Yeah.
as long as you stay true to yourself.
And it's okay to want things because that's a thing that Barbie refuses multiple times throughout the movie up until she had to talk to Ruth about having permission to become human,
Yeah,
right? It's
right.
like I don't want anything. I'm stereotypical Barbie. Like and in at the end, it's so nice just to see her cuz again, that's a common trait that women have or a lot of AFAB have, right? Oh, I don't need anything. Bare minimum is enough or like
Or they get pegged into these holes that, at some point don't really fit them anymore,
yeah.
right? That they've
Yeah.
outgrown.
Yeah, and Barbie clearly has shown that she's outgrown that stereotypical Barbie.
Mhm.
She wants to be, what is it, handler, comma Barbara.
Yeah, and like what is it? It was where Ruth tells her that like it's okay to, or that she doesn't want to be just an idea. Like the
Yeah.
Barbie said, she doesn't want to
Like,
just
and
be an
that's
idea.
coming from her, and and Ruth was saying that like like people die, right? And to her, it's like that's the beauty of it is there's an end to it. Like whereas if you're an idea, yes, it's nice, and it's still valid to
Mhm.
like if you want to become that,
Yeah.
and just keep on going and like have a legacy behind. That's completely understandable and okay. But some people, I'm tired.
Yeah,
Let me go.
and like to allude to the last episode as well.
Yeah.
Again, not everybody can be the figurehead. Not
Yeah.
everybody could be the lasting ideal. Not everybody could be MLK. Not everybody could be Mother Teresa. Not everybody could be Madame Curie.
Yeah.
Right?
It's okay to just be stereotypical. It's okay to just be not everybody needs to be a CEO.
Not everybody needs to be extraordinary.
No, it's okay to be normal. It's okay to
It's
just
okay
be
to be
you.
ordinary.
And like you don't need to be original or like different
Mm-hmm.
cuz like
To be special.
yeah, cuz
Yeah.
I kind of believe that everybody is special in their own right.
Yeah.
And like you don't need to prove that to anybody again just because of some of my circumstances growing up. It's something that I had to learn
Yeah.
painfully.
Yeah.
Very painfully.
Mhm.
And so like that's why at least I hope to all of my friends I always tell like I try to encourage everybody to just be you. At the end of the day, that's all you need.
Yeah.
And,
And
like-
that's all you can be, really.
Yeah, and I feel like not a lot of people like saw that with Barbie. I think it's because of like, oh, it's a feminist movie, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, it had overtones of feminism,
Yeah.
yes, but again, I believe that for you to grow and change, you need to be open to that type of thinking,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To acknowledge that there are systems that are against me. It's not just you. So what are you gonna do to overcome those after you acknowledge them,
Mhm.
so that you can grow, so that you can become the you that you want to be?
Yeah, exactly. And like to go back to your point about like being like everyone being special to their own. You like the montage scene.
Oh, so beautiful.
It was so beautiful, and
And like
this was all real footage of like people
people
from like
from
the crew,
their crew, from like from everybody in production,
from everybody in
whoever it.
production, and like the beauty of that is like when you said something like everybody's special in their own right. Yes, they are, because like look at all these people on the screen that they've shown. They're special to somebody on the team. They're special. Like Greta Gerwig again, like you said with Greta Gerwig's interview, that like the woman who
The
fell to her
bowling,
knees bowling, that was a friend of hers, and that's special to Greta.
yeah. He was like, I'm so happy I'm able to give that to you, to him. I'm just like, that's something that like, yeah, to you don't have to be a Greta Gerwig to do that to somebody else, but like you are a special person to somebody in your life already, right? You don't always need to have applause. That's another thing, is like people miss Barbie's growth. Actually, here's the thing. I don't know if a lot of people notice this, but I notice it because I'm anal about that. um, at the beginning of the movie, Barbie wears very caricature and like quote unquote high fashion clothing, like
Yeah.
something a Barbie would wear.
Yeah.
But as the movie progresses, it became toned down.
It became more normal.
Yeah, more normal, to the
Yeah.
last scene where with Ruth, she was literally just wearing a yellow dress, no, and like a simple necklace. That's it. No archival Chanel necklace.
No big statement pieces.
No statement pieces. She toned down to be like, it literally turned her like from a caricature. You can see her at least through her clothing, and like you see it with Ken as well.
Yeah.
It's like you see her evolution to becoming human and wanting to be human. In her meltdown scene, she was wearing a two-piece. It still had the silhouette of a Barbie, but the colors were very muted. They were pastel.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see her. I see that as a transitional outfit for her
Yeah.
towards to that simple yellow dress.
Yeah, and then even toward like even further than that, like
Yeah,
at the
even
very ending
where
scene,
she was
so when
wearing
she had the one
Birkenstocks.
shot of like her wearing fucking Birkenstocks
And
now.
like, and it's pink, so
Yeah.
it means she's still Barbie, but she's she's Barbie who's human.
Yeah.
And like it's those tiny things that I feel like people missed, because again they're so focused on the controversy, or like
And they're focused on the macro of it too.
yeah, again, like this is what you always see with film, especially with Disney films. People,
Or just like films that are for children.
yeah, you guys don't see like,
They don't bother to look beyond the surface level.
yeah, like,
No.
oh, it's animated, so it's gonna be about children.
They dismissed it because it's camp, because it has these attributes that make it unserious.
Yeah, and you guys, you really shouldn't do that, because that's what art is, right? Art is very subversive.
And subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you really shouldn't just cling on to, oh, it's just a feminism 101 movie, so it's trash. We need that. A lot of people don't.
Also, you're a fucking misogynist.
That too. And like, here's the thing, we need that.
We do.
We, especially in this current day and age, apparently people don't have any more comprehension, or
I don't think they ever have.
people need a reminder of like what actually feminism looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not go into intersectionality, because I feel like not a lot of people are ready for that.
Another episode.
You guys aren't ready for that conversation. But it's okay to have just like a feminism 101, and it's a feel good movie too.
Mm-hmm.
What's so wrong about that? You learn something and you feel good about yourself at the end.
Yeah. It's the whole stigma of like joy in art. Like everything has to be serious for it to be taken seriously. And it's like, shut up. So what if it's unserious? I mean, apart from the fact that like all the old white men in the Oscar committee are like, this is not a proper film.
The fact that only Ryan Gosling was nominated and Knuff won a fucking an award over Billie Eilish's what was I made for?
It could not be more on the nose. It could not have written itself more.
I just like, wow.
So the Oscar
Wow.
the awards committees literally said, we
Good
watched
point."
this movie. We watched this movie. but then we're actually gonna enact everything that was said that was wrong in it.
Just like here's the thing, real life.
Yeah.
Here's the real life. What is it? Real life action, live action, live action Barbie movie
Yeah.
in the real world.
Yeah. No, they really meant it when they said the real world. But yeah, going back to like it's okay to take things like be unserious. It's okay
God
to be unserious.
forbid I have fun a little bit.
God forbid I have feelings. Like
Yeah, as a man.
as a man, like again, that's why I hold not close to my heart, but like that's why I hold like the
Ken's
the
growth,
growth of
yeah.
Ken as like an important point in this movie, even though he is downplayed as a character because he's and Ken, so
Yeah.
which rightfully so. But again, that's why I hold that kind of distinction for, especially for, I'm thinking of like the little boys in the audience, or that should be in the audience if they aren't there. I'm thinking of them to see like
It's okay to have feelings.
it's okay to have feelings. I mean, you should get there in a more healthy manner, but
yeah, it's okay to have big feelings, and it's okay if you need help processing those
Yeah.
big feelings, because women naturally already have, are like, we're naturally they're just drawn to be in groups. It's safer that way. It's
Yeah.
a primal instinct.
yeah.
So for them, it's a lot easier for them to have like a support system versus men. At least from what I hear and what I see is that like,
we're thrown into the deep end alone, really.
yeah, and
like
if you do have one, they'll like joke on you or like they'll make
Yeah.
fun of you or something
yeah.
along those lines. I don't
yeah,
know.
at best it'll be like innocuous jokes, which kind of doesn't help sometimes. But like I digress. But like, and to because like I've seen like the interviews of like Greta Gerwig saying that like
Yeah.
the movie is basically an analogy for growing up, like as a little girl, like the growing pains of suddenly becoming conscious about
About
a woman's place in the
Literally,
world.
because like some women and some people on that matter, that's how they grow up. Is like
Yeah.
all of a sudden you wake
You
up
wake up one day, you're
and like you're already a grown up. Like you have no choice. You can't enjoy your childhood.
no,
And
you get all the disadvantages of being a woman. You're objectified. You don't feel safe and like as like being on your own, etc., etc. Whereas like you can also say that like in parallel, especially in the scene where they're first get to the real world,
yeah.
Ken suddenly is aware that he is admired as a man.
Yeah, and I'm like, I have no. When he clearly said, "And there's no bouts of violence in mine."
No bouts
and
of
then
violence.
There's very,
Very
much
much
violence
a lot of
in
violence.
mine. I don't know what you're feeling,
Yeah.
but it's not what I'm feeling.
So yeah, like for me, that's the big draw for me is that like the parallel between Barbie as the analogy for the little girl becoming conscious of her place in the world versus
Yeah.
a little boy in Ken
It was so
suddenly
easy.
discovering it was
Yeah.
so easy, and then discovering like his place in the world, and then like again, like you said, kind of being thrust into it alone.
Yeah. A little conjunction is America's daughter. I forgot what her name is.
Sasha.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sasha. When the first time I watched it, I had like I had weird feelings towards her because I think it was like cognitive dissonance was happening because I was like, you don't have to be that harsh to Barbie, especially the first time when she said like she was
Yeah.
a fascist. I'm just like,
Oh, that was a bit much.
so like I agree, but at the same time, baby girl, relax. We don't need to call anybody fascists. But like rewatching it now, and I think it's Sasha's a very good representation of like youth these days.
Yeah.
Like they're angry, they're very knowledgeable about what's happening.
They're more socially aware than they let on, and that
Yeah.
we're aware of as like
And
older.
and there's the fact that like Sasha almost feels helpless to me
Mm,
because there's that one scene, I think it's the car scene.
probably.
Yeah, where her mom was like trying to save Barbie, and she's like, "Why are you trying to save her?" It's like, "Well, I need to try at least." Right? To me,
Yeah.
that read as somebody who's
She's giving up.
she's
She's
given
given
up.
up.
She's given up, and the fact that she's like what in high school, it looks
In
like it.
junior high, it looks like.
Yeah, and like you've already given up and you're already there. Like again, for me, it's when the first time I watched it, the reason why I really didn't enjoy her is because it's a clear indication of like what kids are nowadays.
Yeah.
The reason why I dislike her is because I don't want to get reminded that that's how children are nowadays, that they're losing hope already.
Yeah.
And here's the thing with the Barbie movie. The reason why I think it's fairly important, especially for kids to watch it, even if you're a little boy or a little girl, anyone really, is that it's a good reminder for them to be, it's okay to grow up as a funny adult. It's okay if you want to grow up to be Barbie or Ken. It's okay to be a goofy, unserious person who wears like neon
Neon
leotards
leotards.
and neon yellow green
Skates.
rollerblades.
Yeah.
It's okay to be that way. It's okay just to take yourself not so seriously. And the Barbie movie, at least for me, is like that's a clear indication for them because at the end of the movie, she was very much more open to her mom. She was very much more like more accepting about Barbies and the Barbie lands in general. So
Yeah.
it's okay to have fun with what you want to do in life, and
Don't forget to have fun. Don't take yourself so seriously.
you're enough. It's okay. It is okay. That's saying something coming from me. But I guess that wraps it up for this first installment of Filminism. Yay! So that's 2 series that we already started for this.
You're chugging along.
We're chugging along, bitch. And I hope you guys tune in because we're really excited for this series and also for Tunnel Vision as well, and like for the rest of the episodes that will be going up in the future. Yeah. So I guess that's it for us. This is Tree signing off.
And this is Migs signing off.
See you next time.
See ya.